Asterix music.
What up? Asterix coming to you live, Firehouse Sound Labs. Been a while since I did one of these, so I figured I'll just jump in. Got the trusty MPC-2000 by me. You know, we got the machine over here too, but you know, for this one, we're gonna just go ahead and mess around with the MP-2000. I'm gonna pull out some drums, put a little drum kit together. Went record shopping a couple days ago. I found a record that I actually used before for a beat, but then the sample got used, you know, one of those things. So I wanted to reuse it, but use it in a whole different form. So I'm gonna get started, grab some drums, layer them out, get them sounding nice, and then we'll keep going from there.
In this profession, I get busy without a question. In this profession, I get busy without a question. In this profession, I get busy without a question. So I don't give a fuck what none of y'all niggas say. In this profession, I get busy without a question. In this profession, I get busy without a question. In this profession, I get busy without a question. So I don't give a fuck what none of y'all niggas say.
Let's get into some drums. First and foremost, we need some drums. Got to have some drums.
Hi, Joey Vieira here again. Due to the overwhelming response to the medium rock and the rock ballad selections on Volume 1, Volume 4 consists entirely of contemporary drum drops of ballads and light rock.
Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot.
Alright, so I went through, beefed up the kick a little bit more. I added an 808 that I could layer on top of it, so every once in a while I gotta get that rude 808 in there. Snare's still pretty much kind of the way it was, but I'm about to start layering on that. Hi-hat, I ended up getting a different hi-hat from a different song on that record. And I grabbed the open one too, and I got those shutting each other off. Alright, so I'm gonna start layering the snare. I got a couple more sounds in there. I got that. I got this, and then thinking I might have to add something on top of it. I don't know, maybe a open hi-hat or a clap or tambourine or something that's going to liven it up. But for now I'm just going to stack those on top of the one that I already had. So like I said, I think the snare is still a little too dry. It needs a little bit something more on it. I stacked a couple sounds on top of it already, so it has a little ambient noise to it. But now I want to put a little bit like a tambourine in there, and you know, there's really no better way to get some tambourine than with a tambourine. So here we go. Alright, so I chopped up the bass line into sections. Gives you a little bit more control over the actual speed. Also, when you break it down into notes like that, you can replay it. You're not limited to whatever the melody was on the sample of the record. So this is kind of what it sounds like, you know, just the bass line as it was on the record. But you know, now I have it broken up and I can play around with it. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mess around with it until I can get something that works, and then I'll try to layer drums over it and keep going from there. So I got the bass line and the drums pretty much laid out. I'm gonna go through the record and start looking for little pieces to put on top of it. Try to come up with some type of melody or find some stabs or something. I like to use vocal samples and things like that. I usually call them the sprinkles and stuff. I don't know if anybody's ever watched one of the videos before, but so I'm gonna go through and look for some of that. But this is kind of the foundation right now, which is bass line and drums. So this is it right now. Try to layer some of the stuff on top of it. It's a work in progress. You just have to remember, like, you're not trying to catch a whole phrase, you know what I mean? You're trying to chop pieces in, especially with something like this where you're using something that's a little bit, kind of people are jaded to. You want to try to kind of think outside the box and not look for a phrase. You want to look for parts, stabs, things like that. So here we go. So I got this other part that I sampled that I wanted to kind of use to fill in the middle of that, because as of right now, we just, this is kind of where it's at. So obviously we need something to fill in the middle. I got this little piece right here that I sampled. The only thing, it's kind of at an off speed, and then obviously that little in the beginning, no good. So I'm going to take that from one phrase to chop it down to like maybe 4, maybe 5 pieces, cut that beginning part off, and then kind of place it to where it actually fits in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here real quick. So the beginning part of it had that little vocal thing, so I just chopped it off. Then I'm going to use this as a new beginning for it. Okay, so I already have that part in the sequence. The middle's blank though. Had some vocal samples that I took kind of at the beginning. And now I want to sprinkle those in there to kind of, give it a little change up, little something, just something to add a little flavor, seasoning to it. So I got them right here. And I went in through the effects board here on the MP and I added a little bit of echo to them. So I'm going to start putting those in there. Another thing I found on one of the pieces that I took, there was like a splash that came back in on the one. So I want to layer that in also, just to give the last piece a little bit more of a stamp, and it'll come back in on the one when the beat loops in. So alright, so we kind of got the meat and potatoes of the sequence laid down. This is pretty much as far as I'm going to go in on it until I actually get somebody that wants to come in and write on it. I call this just kind of like the rough version of the beat.